Next, move on to the motion about Vision Zero targets. Is that right?
Yes, it is, Chair.
I've got that right. Yeah, sorry. And that's in the name of Assembly Member Russell. If you'd like to propose your motion, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. 3,961. 3,961 people. 3,961 Londoners were killed or seriously injured on London's roads in 2022. Now, against a commitment to achieving a 65% reduction in road deaths and serious injuries by 2022, the Mayor has achieved a 38% reduction so far. Now, sadly, in 2023, the numbers of people killed or seriously injured on London's roads remains high, and we're not seeing the drop in the numbers of people harmed that we so desperately need to see. A young man cycling through Fitzrovia was killed when he was struck and killed by a lorry in May. An 8-year-old girl sitting in her primary school or just outside her primary school classroom in Wimbledon when she was hit and killed by a Land Rover in July. A 36-year-old woman killed in a hit and run in Hackney in September. And just this week, 9 people are in hospital after a car crashed into a bus stop in Aldwych. We cannot continue to read these stories each week and believe our work on Vision Zero is done. Now, our failure to achieve Vision Zero targets means more families devastated by trauma, serious injury or death. And I want to thank all the bereaved families and brave community members who continue to come forward and campaign and push for Vision Zero. Every Londoner should be able to pick up their child from school, pop out to the shops for a pint of milk and get home safely afterwards. That is the promise of Vision Zero, and that is the promise that we hold the Mayor to keeping. Now, the Mayor of London and all partners can and must play a part in ensuring that no more Londoners die on London's roads. And I hope you will join me in voting in favour of this motion, which calls on the Mayor to keep working with the whole GLA group, councils in London, the police and the government to reduce road danger and bring down the toll of death and serious injury on our streets to help us achieve those Vision Zero targets. Thank you. I move the motion.
Assembly Member Baker to second.
Thanks, Chair. Again, I'll be brief. I really don't want to take away from Assembly Members Russell's and the awful stories that she's outlined, but thank you for bringing it, and the Labour Group are absolutely committed to this motion. While the numbers killed on our roads are reducing, it's not happening as fast enough as the Vision Zero plan has aimed for, and certainly not fast enough for anyone who's lost a loved one over the past few years. One death on our road is too many, and it is not something we should just accept as part of living in the big city. We fully support the call for an update and a renewed focus on how we reach 0 deaths on our roads in London.
Thank you. There is an amendment in the name of Assembly Member Garrett, if you'd like to propose that.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, road safety is something that we all care about, I think, except possibly the Mayor, because whenever I raise concerns with him about bus safety, I get no reaction, no response. For example, London's buses hospitalise 50 to 60 people every month, and TfL's latest bus safety report out last month showed that they kill and seriously injure more people last year than they did in 2016. That is the Mayor's record on bus safety. It's got worse, not better, and I believe it is not a coincidence. It's down to the culture in TfL and the lack of leadership from the Labour Mayor. So I pointed out to the Mayor that the Commissioner's report to the TfL board doesn't list the people killed by London's buses. It doesn't even list the number of people killed or hospitalised by London's buses, and I asked him if it could be included, and he said no. I asked the Mayor about 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, which are intended to be a safety measure, but of course they slow buses down and put pressure on drivers then to meet a timetable that may no longer be possible because they're going more slowly for safety reasons. I asked the Mayor if it could be routine that when there's a substantial amount of 20 mile an hour added in an area that the timetable is automatically reviewed to take account of it, and he refused to change that practice. The main way that people are hospitalised by buses is this category called slips, trips and falls among passengers. And that is perhaps what you would expect if bus drivers are rushing, feeling under pressure to meet a timetable that is no longer achievable. So it's not a coincidence, it's not an irrelevance, this business about timetable pressure on drivers. But the Mayor's not interested in the timetable pressure, and he's not interested in putting the facts in front of the TfL board. And then I asked the Mayor about overheating cabs in hot weather. I'm sure you all remember me asking him a couple of months ago. This has been an issue for years. For years, when it's extremely hot, the temperature in the cab gets unsafe. It is unsafe. You've seen crashes this year when we had very hot weather in June. In Islington, for example, a bus came off the road in the extreme heat. The driver appeared to be struggling to maintain a kind of safe mental state in the heat. And I asked the Mayor about overheating in cabs, and he just kept changing the subject and talking about ventilation. But what bus drivers will tell you is ventilation just means moving the heat around. It needs air conditioning, it needs cooling, it needs the temperature in the cab to be maintained at a safe temperature. And the Mayor and the Commissioner made no commitment to me other than just to sort of continue looking at it. And TfL takes part in an international bus safety benchmarking, and it shows that London is one of the least safe bus systems of any of its peer cities. And this actually ought to be surprising because the UK's roads generally are among the safest in the world. But London's bus fleet is among the most dangerous of all of the peers in the international bus benchmarking. And that is why we have put this amendment in, because we need action from this Mayor. We need him to listen to the concerns, commit to do something about the concerns, and not merely keep putting out press releases and strategies and reports and no actual improvement to safety of the bus fleet, which TfL itself controls. That is why we've proposed this amendment, which I hope you will all support. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Assembly Member Prince to second.
I do so and reserve my right, Chair.
Okay. Assembly Member Moema.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to, through you, we have had in the past plenaries where aspersions have been cast on members and apologies have been made, and aspersions have been cast on the Mayor in his absence. We've had Assembly Member Duval, who's not here, been called stupid in the past. We've just had the Mayor, who's not here, been accused of not caring about road deaths and not, by the member in his speech. That has zero to do with this debate, and I personally would like that to see that withdrawn, but I can't imagine that would be withdrawn. But I think I wanted to also just bring us onto the fact that this motion brought by Assembly Member Russell is brought in good faith. It's about a very, very specific issue. If the member did care so passionately about the issue of cabin heat and the situation that bus drivers find themselves in, by all means bring that motion, but this is not it to wreck this particular motion and to make a partisan point rather than to have the debate about Vision Zero and how we as an Assembly can make sure that we hold the Mayor to account and to TfL to account, and not for you to bring an amendment where it forces your group to vote against something which is eminently sensible.
You did, yes you can. Yes you can, Assembly Member Gow.
So let me say in response to Assembly Member Moema, I believe I just spent slightly over 3 minutes, with the indulgence of the Chair, explaining why I thought the Mayor did not take it seriously. The idea that my amendment and my speech is not relevant to the motion, it's entirely relevant to the motion, and I'm not aware of anyone being called stupid. So if someone has been called stupid, I think it would be important to clarify who and when. Thank you.
Chair, as I've been named, I'd like to respond.
No, you haven't been. That is a response.
He said,
honestly, you don't have the right. This is not going to be a dialogue.
He named me.
This is not going to be a dialogue.
No, he named me.
I don't.
He did.
He did?
The test is whether
can
views have been misrepresented.
Yes. This is about whether or not views have been misrepresented.
Yes.
And I'll give you one more shot, but I don't want ping pong across the chamber, please.
Okay. To repeat myself, the member did say that the Mayor did not care, and you continued your speech from there. In the past, I specifically sent Assembly Member Duval, who is not here. That is the person that was accused of being stupid. It's on record. You feel free to go back to feel free to roll back the tape of this meeting.
I don't think that's relevant to this debate. If you want to take it up with us, that's fine.
I would like people to not cast aspersions on other people's ability and character in this chamber. And if they are accused,
you've done it to a number of the government. You do all the time.
Right, that's enough. That's enough.
Mine is fact-based.
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough, please. Quiet. Pay attention. If I wanted to be ignored, I would have stayed at home with my husband. All right? So please, be quiet. Thank you. Now, what we're not going to have a ping-pong. It is our job to hold the Mayor to account. It is the prime job of this body to hold the Mayor to account. Any other accusations against other Assembly members of that nature, which has not been brought to my attention, then we will deal with that. But that's the first I've heard of it, and so what we're now going to do, bearing in mind you're all looking rather tired now, is we're going to go to the sum up on the amendment, which is.
Thank you.
Would you like to do that?
Well, it's a great pleasure to note that the amendment has been so warmly received. Well, I'm not going to name anyone, otherwise they'll be speaking for another 3 minutes, won't they? So, no, this is actually a very serious issue because, I absolutely welcome the proposal by the Green Party and by Ellie, and in fact I find myself agreeing with most of what Assembly Member Baker has said, actually, so I'm going to go and see my doctor later. But this is about people, this is about people who are losing their lives, and we're asking the Mayor to do something, but the Mayor can actually do something by sorting out the bus contracts, by not putting pressure on the bus companies to deliver without any regard to safety, and that is what's happening every day. And more people have lost their lives under this Mayor as a result of bus actions than previously. I'm going to leave it at that. It's very serious.
Thank you. Assembly Member... You spoke, Assembly Member Baker. No, you didn't, Assembly Member Baker.
Assembly Member Baker spoke.
You did speak. You did speak. Sorry. Well, there's a lot happened in between.
Summing up now. Carry on, Russell.
Assembly Member Garrett, to sum up on your amendment.
Yeah.
I don't think there is anything more to be added other than my really sincere disappointment that so many people in this chamber have taken an important issue of 50 to 60 people every month being hospitalised by London's buses and claiming that this is somehow irrelevant to a motion about road safety. And I would suggest acting like naughty school children who've been caught out when we are actually, as an Assembly, doing our job of scrutinising the Mayor and holding him to account for his failure on an issue that all of us claim is important and that we care about. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Assembly Member Russell, to sum up, please.
At Green Party conference, when we have an episode like we've just witnessed in the chamber, we call for a minute of attunement. When everyone takes a breath, please don't laugh. Everyone takes a breath and pauses in silence for a minute to reflect on what's happened and to compose themselves for the next part of the debate. I'm not going to call for an attunement because it's going to use up all my time, but I do think that we need one. So this motion was brought in order to capture the fact that as a city we are not meeting our Vision Zero targets, but to address it in a way that was not about casting blame or aspersions. It was about saying, what can we do as a city, as all the collective bodies, all the people that have a part to play in it, how can we make sure that we do not continue with this devastating toll of death and very serious injury on our roads that is impacting so many families. Now, Assembly Member Garrett and Assembly Member Prince, I'm sure that you meant your amendment well. And, no, sorry. I am sure you meant well with your amendment, and you take very seriously a very serious issue one tiny part of Vision Zero, which is bus danger. And I would very happily, as others have said, work with you on a motion on bus danger to raise these very serious issues that are part of it. But this motion was about the targets, and it was about making sure that we get a commitment to updated targets and that we get a timeline from the Mayor of how Transport for London is going to show that leadership for London to reach Vision Zero. So I know I'm out of time, and I hope that people will vote for this motion.
Thank you. Could I now see all those in favour of the amendment proposed by Assembly Member Garrett? Please indicate.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in favour, Chair.
Thank you. And all those against?
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 against, Chair. That's lost.
Thank you. Can I now see all those in favour of the motion proposed by Assembly Member Russell?
That is 1, 2. Is that unanimous, Chair? That's no, it's not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It is unanimous.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's unanimous, Chair.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.